Have you ever made a mistake and felt like just giving up? Well, let me tell you a story about a boy who learned that mistakes aren't endings, but beginnings. In a small school in Texas, a bright and energetic boy named Ethan Cole had one big problem. He hated making mistakes. Whenever he made a spelling error or wrote a sentence he didn't like, he would angrily rip the page out of his notebook. His teacher, Mrs. Miller, would often tell him, "Ethan, mistakes help you grow," but he just couldn't see it that way. One morning, Mrs. Miller gave the class a fun assignment. Write a story about anything you love. Ethan was thrilled. He loved space and rockets, so he grabbed his brand new yellow pencil and began to write. He dreamed of creating the perfect story, but then it happened. Halfway through, he misspelled a word. Frustration bubbled up inside him. "I can't even get this right," he muttered, and tore out the page. The boy next to him, Noah, watched him and asked, "Why do you keep throwing away your pages?" Ethan huffed, "Because I don't want any mistakes. My story has to be perfect." Noah just smiled and held up his own pencil. "That's why my eraser is my best friend," he said. "It helps me fix what I do wrong." Ethan frowned. "But then your page will look all messy and dirty." Noah simply shrugged. "Maybe," he replied, "but at least I'll finish my story." When the class ended, Mrs. Miller collected everyone's work. Noah turned in his completed story full of crossed-out words and eraser marks. Ethan, on the other hand, handed in only a single half-finished page. Later that afternoon, Mrs. Miller returned their papers. On Ethan's, she had written a short note. "Perfection isn't about finishing without mistakes. Perfection is about learning from them." Ethan sat quietly, looking at his pencil. He noticed the eraser on top was completely clean, untouched. He had never even tried to use it. That night, at home, he stared at his empty notebook, thinking about his teacher's words. Finally, he picked up the pencil again. He started writing, and soon enough, he made a mistake. He paused. Then, slowly, hesitantly, he used the eraser. When the wrong word vanished, a small smile appeared on his face. "Hey, this isn't so bad," he whispered to himself. "I can just fix it." The next day, Ethan wrote with new confidence. He wasn't afraid of making mistakes anymore. He erased, he rewrote, and he kept on going. By the end of the week, he had finished his story about space and rockets' first complete story ever. When he handed it to Mrs. Miller, she looked at the paper, covered in faint eraser smudges, and beamed. "This is the best paper I've ever seen from you, Ethan. Do you know why?" Ethan smiled proudly. "Because I finished it." She nodded. "Yes, and because it shows you were brave enough to keep trying." At the end of the school year, during the class awards assembly, Mrs. Miller called Ethan's name. "This award," she announced, "is for a student who learned the most important lesson of all, that every mistake can become a step toward success." As the students clapped, Ethan felt a surge of pride. He finally understood the eraser on his pencil wasn't there to make things perfect. It was there to help him move forward. Years later, Ethan became a teacher himself. On his desk, he kept one old pencil, the same one from Mrs. Miller's class. The eraser was worn down and the wood was faded, but it was a constant reminder of the lesson that changed his life. Whenever one of his students would say, "I made a mistake," Ethan would smile and reply, "Good. That means you're learning." If this story resonated with you, remember this: every mistake is a lesson, not a failure. It's an opportunity to learn, grow, and become stronger. So keep trying and never give up on yourself. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that like button and subscribe to Motivoons for more videos that teach, inspire, and motivate. We'll see you in the next one.